Hi everyone, my name is Candace Williams. I'm super excited to share this prompt with you. I'm going to really focus on erasure poetry today. That was the topic of the class that I taught at the poetry project. And this prompt is actually from a version of the class I taught at Brooklyn Poets. I was reading a lot of erasure poetry just on the web and in books, and also generated by my students, and I realized that many poets, when they're doing an erasure poem, sometimes they don't think about disrupting the integrity of a word. So cutting up a word into syllables or using letters of a word to make new words and sounds and all of that. So I think the best way to think about this prompt is to begin to analyze mentor texts where the artist does this. And I think that a great example, possibly the best example that I can think of, is Zong by M. Norbese Philip. Philip is a poet, a writer, an artist on so many levels, and this collection is an erasure of the Gregson v. Gilbert case. So this case text is pretty short, but Zong is, it's really an incredible collection. There's so many different types of erasure. So this case relates to the 1781 massacre committed by a white slaver. He was a captain of a slave ship, and he had 150 Africans drowned so that he could collect insurance money. And this case was actually brought by because the insurance company didn't want to pay out on that claim. But actually, the judge found that what the slave ship captain did was legal, and that the insurance company should in fact pay out on that claim. So, this case is just horrific. I don't even have to explain how horrible it is to even think about it as a black person. And what Norbese Philip does is just erase this text in so many different ways. The back of the book says that it's equal parts song, moan, shout, oath, curse, and chant, and that's really true. I want to draw your attention even to the first poem, Song number 1. Clearly, this poem is about water and what it means to drown a person and take on water, but also on the ship there was a lack of clean water for people to drink. And even in this first poem, the word water is just broken up into many different sounds, and there's a lot of repetition. And when I read it, I really thought about drowning, and I almost felt like my mouth was drowning in the word water and how it was broken up. Just to give you some more examples, I mean, this is just an incredible book. If you haven't been able to check it out from the library or buy it, you really should. You'll notice in these examples, just really breaking up words in a variety of different ways to create poems that just say so many different things and carry so many different meanings, even though she's working off of one text. And the thing about this book that I realized after the second or third time of reading it is that I feel like I'm in the mind of someone who's trying to make sense of what happened and make sense of this text. And by analyzing the text, by having this emotional and intellectual reaction to it, this book is an entirely different work. It kind of becomes its own event, and it reflects what happened in the past, but it's definitely its own artistic creation. So the prompt seems simple, but it's actually not. And I think that the first two steps are the hardest two steps. So first you have to find a text that resonates with you. Typically, it's easiest to work with a text that you are angry about, or that you hate, or that you think shouldn't exist, but it's actually not that simple. And keep in mind that text is everywhere. I've had students erase product bottles and prescription labels and newspaper articles and books, TV commercial scripts, and TV show scripts, and all of that. So you're trying to find a text that resonates with you. But please don't stop there, because you need to analyze your relationship with that text. So, for example, should a cis white man erase a black queer person? No. But does it happen every day? Yes. So you need to be thinking about your identity and the identity of the author and the context in which the text was written and produced, and make sure that what you're doing reflects the ethics that you have. Because I've seen a lot of horrible erasures where the main problem was that the artist shouldn't have erased that text. And then I find, and this might be just me, once I find a text and it resonates with me, and I begin to think about my response to that text and how I relate to that text, maybe the quality of my life has been influenced by that text. It's almost like I have a blank page and a pen, and the pen starts writing without my mind thinking about it. It really, for me, becomes not that easy, but just the fluency of the erasure just takes off. Like, I'm able to find patterns in the language. I'm able to produce drafts very quickly. And I think it's because of all of the thinking that I do before I even try to erase something. And I know that this isn't true for everyone. For some people, writing an erasure poem is harder than doing the other types of poetry that they may write. But I just really want to stress the importance of finding a text that resonates with you, and then examining how you relate to that text. And when you erase, of course, coming back to the main thrust of the prompt, I want you to think about disrupting the integrity of words. Meaning, many poets will just say, oh, okay, I'm going to keep the order of the text and just create white or black space, right? And then some poets will also go a step further and say, I'm going to rearrange words. What I'm saying is that you can actually disrupt the integrity of words. You can create, maybe you only keep certain sounds or certain syllables. Maybe you use letters to create a whole new word or a whole new phrase. So instead of just saying to yourself, I need to just black out or white out certain words, or I can rearrange words, you can rearrange the letters inside of a word. You can erase parts of a word. You can stretch out a word over the course of a whole page. So really begin to experiment, keeping in mind your ethics and the context of the text, and maybe what you're thinking about and what you are trying to communicate. Thank you so much for listening. I really can't wait to see what you write related to this prompt. I hope that you're doing well and that you stay safe. Bye.